Hi, this is Neha, and thanks for joining everyone. Today's session is all about how you communicate through the storytelling. And we have our partner, Clearly Blue. We have a speaker from Clearly Blue today. So before we start the session, I would like to let you know that this is a one-way audio communication. So any questions, any comments or anything you have, please put it on the Q&A panel or the chat section. We will answer time to time whenever we get a chance. And any questions you have about the program, Taara program, I'll be answering on the chat section or Q&A section again. You can post it anywhere there. And any questions for Linda, you can put it there as well. So today's speaker is Linda Jacob. She is the Chief Content Officer at Clearly Blue Digital. She also has senior management experience in the insurance and broking industry. She is a writer and also more of a people person and also the ideas person. So now I'll hand it over to Linda and she'll take it from there.
Thank you, Neha, and welcome everybody. Good morning and welcome to this session on communication through storytelling. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that communicating through storytelling isn't as bizarre as it sounds, and we'll see why as we go through this entire session. Before we start the session, I have a poll that I would like you guys to answer. So Neha, would you be able to help me publish the poll?
Yes,
the first one.
Yeah. Yes. Is this the one, Linda?
Yes.
Okay.
No, this is slide 6, Neha. It's slide 2.
1 second. Okay, sure. Let me see once. Slide 2, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah. Would you all vote or poll?
I think 70% of them have voted. I think few more to go. Shall I end the poll, Linda, then?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the results?
Yes. Yeah. So you all agree with me. You all feel that when you go in for a interview, sometimes you feel that everybody there is very similar to you. They seem to have the same qualifications, and you wonder how you will catch the recruiter's eyes, right? Shall I close the poll, Neha, so that we can go to the next slide?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about mainly today. How do you stand out from the crowd? You're in an interview, you've gone in for an interview, there is this whole line of other candidates out there. How do you make yourself, or how do you catch the attention of the recruiter? How do you find a place in their memory so that they think about you when they are choosing the candidate that they need? Some people might say it is by highlighting the list of accomplishments that you have. Right, you could say that I've got a master's degree, I have 2 master's degree, I've published X number of papers, I've got 20 years of experience, I've got 10 years of experience, I know like an alphabetical order of different maybe languages, software languages, etc. But the point is, most of that information is already there in your resume, and you repeating that to the interviewer might make it look as if, or it wouldn't differentiate you from the rest. You'd be just another cookie cutter applicant. So then how do you catch the eye of the recruiter? How do you make the recruiter notice you, right? That's the question. And the answer to that is by unleashing the storyteller in you. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, how is that possible? You're not a storyteller. You've never written a book. You're not an author. Now, a storyteller isn't just a published author. You don't need to be a Khalid Hosseini or a Sudha Murthy to consider yourself to be a storyteller. We are all storytellers in some way or the other. And I'll tell you why we need to be using storytelling. So scientifically, it's been proven that when you tell a story, the listener actually aligns their brain to the speaker's brain, and the listener becomes invested in what the speaker is saying. In fact, to such an extent that it has been scientifically proven that when listening to stories, oxytocin is released, which is actually a hormone that induces trust and bond. Okay, so storytelling is something that actually connects human beings. For centuries, we've been using storytelling to actually connect with others. If you look at all of our spiritual texts, right, from the Ramayana to the Bhagavad Gita, or to the Mahabharata actually, and even the Bible or the Quran, all of these texts, if you notice, they inform us or they give us lessons through stories. They're not just factual information just placed one after the other, right? All of it is stories. So why have we been using stories from centuries? It's because stories stick. Stories grab the attention of our brain and they remain with us. So you should use the same technique when you go for the interview. And it's not as hard as we think, because we're all storytellers. We communicate with other human beings with stories. We do it in our daily lives. In fact, all of you do. Every time you respond to the question, how are you? You will be telling a story. When you catch up with your friends, you are actually giving them a story. When you recall a childhood memory, like when you meet your cousins and you say, hey, remember that time our grandpa chased us around the house because we destroyed the tiles on the roof? That's a story. So a story need not be fictitious. A story is just a recounting of an event told in a manner that engages the listener. That's all that is a story. So today in this session, what we're going to do is we're going to examine certain scenarios in an interview where you can actually use a story. And the other is how you will develop the story. And it needs some thought. It's not something that you go in there and just, start from scratch without thinking about it. So you go and see, when you are in front of the recruiter is waiting for you to impress the recruiter. He really wants to hire the best that he can connect with or she can connect with. So your job is to actually sound like a real human being and connect with the recruiter so that you capture the recruiter's attention. And how do you do that? By talking in a way that is genuine, that represents you as a human being rather than a candidate. Now, since this is a storytelling session, I have a story for this. Many years ago, I was recruiting or looking for an accountant, a junior accountant into our accounting team. And we had a host of candidates who came in for the interview. There was this young, fresh graduate who came in. Uh, she she caught my eye first because she was very pleasant. She couldn't speak English very well. It was very obvious that she wasn't from Bangalore. She came and sat down, and I asked her where she was from. She said she was from Udupi. So I just asked her, why have you come all the way from Udupi for this job in Bangalore? Wouldn't you be able to get an accounting job in Udupi? Rather than giving me a cookie cutter answer, okay, she gave me a genuine answer, an answer which was a story. What she told me was that she is the eldest daughter in her house. She is actually the only graduate in her house, in her family. She might get a job in Udupi, but she wasn't sure whether that job would let her grow. And she knew that she had to go into a town or a environment where she can learn more and grow quickly. And so when I asked her, why do you want to learn more and grow quickly? And that is where she surprised me. She said that her mother was a single mother who didn't have a good house, and her aim in life was to build a house for her mother. It was a genuine answer, and she had a reason for it. So she gave me a context. She told me what she wanted to do and why she was doing what. And in spite of the fact that she wasn't really the most qualified for that interview, she got the job. So knowingly or unknowingly, this was a candidate who actually told me a story and got a job. So, and a genuine story, by the way, she did actually build a house for her mother. So that's the other bit of the story. Let's go to the next part. So how do you start the story, right? Build a story. First thing is decide on story. When you go for an interview, there is something that you want the interviewer to know about you, right? There is some individual characteristic of yours that differentiates you from the rest of the crowd, something that makes you an individual. That something or that characteristic, or maybe those characteristics, 3 or 4 characteristics, should become the theme of all the stories that you present to the interviewer. In fact, should be the entire theme of your entire job hunt, is what I would say. And that is the way. If you have a uniform theme, a uniform idea that you're trying to communicate with the recruiter then understands that you are a human being with something that you're trying to do. You're not just another number or another candidate that he's seeing. So one of the ways you do that is by maybe looking at some of the things that makes you an individual. Do you reliably follow through on your commitments? Is that something that you can make the theme of your recruitment story? Another thing that you can look at is how well you work with others and contribute to in a team. That could be another theme. You would also have a theme that says how you handle confrontation, deadlines, and stressful situations, perhaps. You can also say that you have the ability. You can also make your theme something like you have the ability to analyze and think through things. You could also like even have a theme that says that you can say that you have the ability to pivot strategically and under pressure. If in my case, if somebody asked me what my theme is, I would say that I like to solve problems by looking at the bigger picture in data. And I don't mind working in chaos and trying to make sense out of it and maybe a process out of it. So we all have our strengths, and that is what makes you different from all the other candidates out there. So the first thing you need to do before you start your recruitment or your job hunt journey is to figure out what is a good theme for you to have. So now that you've fixed your theme, what is the maybe 2 or 3 central characteristics that makes you who you are? You then look at what else you can do. That's what we were saying. If there are only 5 characteristics of yours that an interviewer could remember, what would you want those to be? That is the theme that you should fix in your mind. Now that you've got the theme in your mind, there is another bit, right? You need to know a story has to have a why, right? Storytelling methods called the context, or the context that drives the plot, the why of the story. Every story needs to have a why. Have you noticed that sometimes we go and see a movie and we'll come out and say, hey, I didn't like the movie, it didn't have a soul to it. The reason why we say that is because we couldn't understand the purpose of the story. There was no why to it. Every story needs to have a central why. Why is this happening, right? So that's the only reason why the audience will listen to your narrative towards the end and will be invested in your story. If they don't understand why you are telling the story, or they don't relate to you as a character in the story, they will not listen to you. And normally the context of the story is built by 3 things: the setting, the characters, and the conflict. Now, even if it's, let's say, a 4 or 5 minute story, there should be a setting, right? The place where the event of your story occurs. So in the story that I just told you about the girl coming for the interview, her setting was her village, the fact that she had a family, she was the only graduate in her family. She told me where her village was and what she had studied, etc. That is the setting. The characters in the story were herself, her younger brother, her mother, her grandmother, etc. Oh, I forgot one setting in the story. Right. The other setting in the story was that she had a house, but it was a kacha house. Right. That was the setting. The characters were herself, her mother, her brother, etc. The conflict here is that the house, she did tell me the conflict. She told me that the house was such that it would leak during the rainy season and snakes, etc., would come into the house during the rainy season. That's a conflict. And in the story, she is the hero. So now you've got the setting, you've got the characters, you've got the conflict. Then what do? You then have to establish that you are the hero of the story. So in this case, the candidate who came to see me, she actually described herself as the hero of the story, saying that she's made this decision to travel all the way by herself to Bangalore without really knowing English or anything, and trying to attempt to get a job to become better and ultimately build a house for her mother, which wouldn't leak, which would not have all the problems that the current house had, right? So that is the setting of the story. Apart from this, let's look at another story, for example. Let's say your resume says that as a product manager, you've increased you boosted sales by 50% in a particular year. That is what you would have in your resume, right? And let's assume that one of your strengths is the strength that says that one of my strengths is the ability to pivot strategically under pressure. So in your resume, you have the statement: increase the sales by 50% in a particular year. Okay. And then you have this thing that says one of my strengths is the ability to pivot strategically under pressure. How do you convert this into a story? Right? So this particular incident of a year of having a 50% sale, a 50% increase in sale, there would be a story behind it. it wouldn't just be one line item, right? So in my life, many years ago, there was an incident like this where um, it was in my previous career, like how Neha mentioned earlier. I used to work in the insurance industry, and this is in the year 2005 or 2006, when the Indian insurance industry opened up. So ours was a UK based insurance company which had a monopoly on travel insurance in India. We had these short term travel plans that we were selling happily for years on end with really not much effort. And then one fine morning, the insurance industry in India opened up, right? And we had a lot of competitors who were selling the same kind of product as ours. And we realized that they were selling it cheaper than us, and we were not able to compete with them because we had offices around the world, and we couldn't compete with the rates that the Indian insurers were offering. It was a time when we thought that the company would sort of just disappear. But what we did, or rather our team, what my team did, because we were in charge of strategically changing, we were the product team. So I led a team where we actually conceptualized new products that created geography specific long-term insurance products across the globe. And that resulted in, rather than a dip in sale, an increase in sale that particular year of about, I think, 20 or 30%. So in this case, we have a setting, which is the year 2004 or 2005, when a particular conflict occurred, where a certain business model sort of went down the drain, and we had to find another business model or a new product. The characters in the story, have not mentioned it over here. It was a team of people. If you were telling the story, it would be good that you brought in different characters, yourself, the other team members, maybe your boss who asked you to conceptualize it, etc. So that is the way you build the story. It's essentially relating what happened in the way you would normally relate what happened at home. You just do it in a more formal, official setting. That's all. I think there's a poll here, Neha.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah, I'll do
the
it.
sixth one, I think.
One second, Linda, I'm doing it.
Or I think it's slide number 13, that poll, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, Give me a second, Linda. I think the poll option is not showing. Can I just log out and log in again?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. 13th, is it?
I think this is the 13th slide, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I think the poll questions, tell me about yourself, is one, and why this company is the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me change the question then.
The options, remove the first part of the second one and you'll be all right.
The first choice will be tell me about yourself, right?
Yeah, the second one is why this company.
One second. Sorry for this.
No problem. No problem.
Can you see now?
It's showing the same again, Neha. Maybe.
Are you sure now?
Yeah, now it's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'll wait for 2 more seconds and then end the poll.
Yes.
Okay. You see the results, Linda?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, you're correct. Tell me about yourself is exactly where you can tell a story. I feel this is a question that stumps most of us, right? We can end the poll now, Neha. Thank you.
I've done.
Yeah, thank you. So tell me about yourself is a question that stumps most of us, right? It's personally stumped me because it becomes difficult for us to answer it. Which part of me do you want to talk about becomes a question, right? I've put a cartoon here because I feel that this sometimes happens to us. When we are asked this question about tell me about yourself, the normal answer that comes our way is I'm one of 4 children. I have parents. I come from a certain place. So the answers are very factual and really do not tell me as a recruiter why I should hire you, why you are interested in this job. This question is a place where you can actually talk about why you are suited for this job and why this job is something that would really interest you and is a passion for you. I am personally not a technical person, but I thought that since most of you are from the technical background, I could sort of prepare an answer that sort of works with what you would normally do, right? So I have an answer here that I've written that I thought something that you could, maybe it relates to you and how you've come up, right? I've been interested in tech since high school, where I took an elective website design class. In fact, I was so interested in computers and the actual making of computers that I built my own computer, assembled my own computer when I was in the 9th standard. After studying computer science in college, I worked as a web developer and gained advanced HTML and CSS skills. Last year, I got the chance to work on a new software project, which I found to be incredibly rewarding because it taught me quite a lot of new skills, etc., etc., etc. So that also is a way to talk about yourself without talking about personal details. Because your personal details really do not interest the recruiter in any fashion, right? So this is really a place where you can showcase your interests and who you are as a person. And if it aligns with the job that you're looking for, that's the more the better. So when I started my second career and came for an interview at Clearly Blue, I had no experience writing. The only writing I had done was casual writing in different places, or actually writing insurance policy documents. So when I came for the interview, one of the questions that they asked me, I think directly or indirectly, was to talk about myself. And one thing that I could say there is that I read voraciously. I read a lot, and I like writing, and I like creative stuff. And I could talk about various things that I did that related to writing, though I hadn't been a writer or a qualified writer till then. But I had anecdotes to talk about that actually showed that I was interested in writing and reading and learning new stuff. So that then made the recruiter believe that I might be a good fit in a company where I literally did not have any prior experience. I think that's the first time I started using storytelling, by the way, as a person. Okay, I might have used it, I think, in other places also, knowingly or unknowingly. But like all of us, right? We all use our storytelling chops in different parts of our life. But we need to learn how to use it deliberately to our own advantage, is what we're trying to establish over here. The other question that I think stumps a lot of us and we don't know how to answer is this question. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. I've gone into sessions, communication sessions with teams. And when I ask them to tell me about a mistake they made, they normally do not give an answer. And even if they give an answer, it turns out that it was not really a mistake. So this cartoon is actually very apt. I have a feeling that when we are asked to give a story or talk about a mistake we made, we normally tend to blame others or the same people or circumstances or something. We're not honest about it. Now, this is one of the places where you can show your real character and really influence how the recruiter looks at you, right? Because employers often assess, this is how the employer normally would be, or your potential employer would be assessing your self-reflection skills and your adaptability. It also shows whether you will take ownership of your work. So this, I feel, is a question that you can prepare for, and you think about how you will answer it very seriously. Try and choose a mistake where you made a mistake, but you learned from the mistake and you did something positive out of that mistake. Show how you worked collaboratively with others to maybe prevent similar mistakes from happening. That way, the recruiter then knows that you're not somebody who actually fears owning up to a mistake, whereas you learn from the mistake and go forward. One of the things we all have to acknowledge in life is that none of us are perfect and we will always make mistakes. But what a recruiter is looking for is a person who will own up to the mistake and take corrective measures to make sure that the same mistake doesn't occur the next time. So I have a story about a mistake I made many years ago to talk about. So I did tell you, right, that I was in the insurance broking industry, and we had this, this is, I'm going back maybe 20 years or so, when I was in charge of actually the invoicing of global clients. Back then in the day, we did not have an automated system to calculate the premium for clients. So what we had was this spreadsheet, and we were billing clients on a per week basis. That meant that you had to count the number of weeks a person was covered under the policy and bill the number of weeks. It was a tedious task because we had clients who had like tens of thousands of people covered, and each person we had to count manually. I ended up making such a big mistake that we had to really re-raise the invoice. So I owned up to my mistake, and I realized that this mistake is something that would occur again and again because we were manually calculating the invoice. So ultimately, what we did as a team was we calculated the amount lost, or the amount we were losing because we were not calculating the invoices correctly. We went to the management and said that this is the amount that we are actually losing out because our invoicing is not really perfect. Can we automate the process? And we showed them how much money the company would save in the coming years by actually automating the process. And the process got automated. And that automated process is still working in that insurance company, actually. So that is a mistake that I learned from. I'm sure if we all think back, there will be something or the other where we've made a mistake that we've had to go back and correct it. And in fact, if you self-reflect on the mistakes you make, even miscommunication, communication mistakes, you can correct them. And by correcting them, improve your own processes, benefit yourself and the company, actually. So this is one of those storytelling questions. The next storytelling question is, tell me about a challenge you faced and how you dealt with it. Right. This again is a question that you can actually use to not only demonstrate how you faced a challenge, but also to show how you worked with a team. So whenever you tell the story, it's okay to be the hero of your story, but your story also needs to have characters, people that are part of your story that you work with, so that it changes how you do stuff. And it's okay to name people or give their positions, etc., when you talk about that particular story. Now, this is a good one, right? If you're all restarters, I'm sure another question that could come to you is, why did you leave your job, and why have you been away from your job for such a long time, right? It is always better to give the answer, but not make it sound like an excuse. And when you give your answer, whether it's you define it as a story or not, please make sure that the answer makes plausible sense to the listener. Recently, I asked a young gentleman why he had quit his job. And the answer he gave me was not really plausible. He told me that he left his job because they were building a house and he wanted to spend some time building the house. So I asked him, do you not have anybody else in your family? So he told me, I have my parents and everybody, but I wanted to focus on building the house. Now I found that answer very, I found it an excuse, because he didn't come from a very financially stable background. So I was like, wouldn't it be better if you actually went out and earned money so that it would bring in some more resources for you to build the house, rather than quitting your job and building the house? So that's why when you give an answer to a question, and especially this kind of a question as to why did you leave your last job, it's always better to give a very genuine, clear answer that does not make it look as if you've made up an excuse to just answer the question. Now, does storytelling work everywhere? Do you think it's something that could work all over the place? Because that would mean that you went in for a 5-minute interview and the interview lasted for like an hour and a half or something, right? There are certain questions that are best left with, with factual, clear answers, without a context or anything. Those questions are, what interests you about this job? Why this company? Specific questions. Now, these kind of questions you can easily answer by actually researching the company that you're applying to. Nowadays, you have so much information out there that it's easy for you to understand what kind of a company you're applying to, and find alignment with yourself as an individual. Maybe their company practices, maybe their culture, maybe their ethos, maybe their working style. something or the other that makes you feel that you will be a good fit there. And maybe there's something in you that you are capable of doing, technically or otherwise, that makes you a good fit for that company that you need to be highlighting over here. There are a few other questions that I actually missed out talking to you about that you could use to answer with a story. It is how did you describe a time when you displayed your leadership skills? Is a place where you can share a story. Another place where you can share a story is describe a time you set a goal and accomplished it. Another would be tell me a time you went beyond expectations to complete a job. I'm sure all of you now, even if you don't have a work experience story, I'm sure you would have a story in your life while you were in college, or while you were even something in your work, in your home life, that could help you demonstrate that you have the qualities or the characteristics that align with your main theme that you've worked out for yourself. I want to leave you with this slide. This is Aristotle's Trinity of Persuasion. Aristotle's Trinity of Persuasion says that the way to persuade a person is to use these three critical pieces or critical pillars in your conversation. They are ethos, logos, and pathos. So ethos is your credibility, your trustworthiness, your reputation, your character. Your resume is the first building block for your credibility. All the degrees that you've amassed over the years, your marks, your other qualifications, your previous experience, they're all your credibility. Logos is facts and figures. It's everything that you've accomplished. The fact that you said that you were able to, let's say that you say that I was able to increase the sales by 50%. I was able to make a savings of 25% for the company. These are all facts. These are things that actually are relatable, are quantifiable, right? So when you're approaching your job hunt, you need to have credibility, which is your resume, your degree, your experience, logic, reason, facts and figures that you've amassed over the years. And the last bit is pathos, emotional connection with the recruiter. And that emotional connection with the recruiter is where we come in with the stories. So when you approach your job hunt, you should look at it that all of this will come together so that you present a very attractive, you become a credible candidate who will surely catch the attention of the recruiter. This is where I'd like to stop. I'm assuming all of you are looking out for jobs, and wish you all the luck with all of that. If there are any Q&As, I could take that.
Thank you so much, Linda, for such a beautiful session. It was really informative and helpful. Any questions you have, you can all post it here on the Q&A panel. I see there are a couple of questions on the chat. How can we answer in story when we are actually coming after a break? Linda, can you hear me?
I think we lost her. Let me check with her, Janeha.
Okay. I think she's there. I think she's on mute.
Hello?
Linda?
Hello?
Yeah, you're audible. Yes, you're audible
yeah.
now.
Yeah. So I was saying there is a question in the chat section. The question is, how can we answer in story when we are actually coming after a break?
So most of the questions, when I say story, what I mean is, it's actually relating an incident. So you're coming out after a break because of various reasons, right? There is a genuine reason why you want to come back to work, right? So rather than saying that I just want to come back to work, uh, find the why of why you left, why you took a break, and why you want to come back to work. These are all plausible things, right? And you taking a break, even during your break, your life wasn't suspended. I'm sure you did a lot of stuff during your break also, right? You must have gained some information, some knowledge while you were in your break too. Bring that, highlight that, talk about that. If you were a mother and bringing up your children, I would assume that you learned a lot of management skills, a lot of negotiation skills, a lot of time management skills, right? Which you did not have when you had left work. You would also have upskilled, I'm sure. If you're part of the Taara program, you've been upskilling yourself. So talk about all of that. The only, when we talk about stories, the only thing we are saying over here is to bring in the context, bringing the characters and the setting, the characters, and the narrative, so that you're not, it shouldn't be as if you're reading out something like, I took a break because I had children. Fine, you had children, you took a break, but now while you were in your break, there were a lot of things that you did. Talk about that. I can see one from Nikki Redka. Sometimes I happen to freeze on a question to which I have an answer in my mind, but cannot put it impromptu. So what I've always felt is it's to be genuine. So just say, take a deep breath, because we are all, one of the things I think we all should realize is that we are all human beings, including the recruiter. So go in there, and if you freeze, just say, I'm really sorry, I do have an answer in my mind. Give me 1 minute to sort of regroup myself and I could give you the answer. Just saying that to show that you are actually willing to communicate will reach out to the recruiter, rather than freezing and sitting there. Just say that I actually do have an answer to this. Give me a minute. Let me take a breath and I will come back to you with the answer. Or you could also say that, I do have the answer. Do you mind if I come back to you later with the answer, or something like that? As long as you don't not say anything. If you freeze and you just don't say anything, it becomes a problem, right? So even if you don't have the answer, just say that I do have the answer somewhere in the back of my mind. It'll come to me in a few minutes. I will give you the answer.
We have a couple of questions on the Q&A panel also, Linda.
Okay.
Can you see those?
Yeah. I left, this is Ankita. Okay. I left my job because at that time there was no work from home kind of option, and went to husband, but I resumed my study and completed MTech. But you have a very plausible reason, right? You were on a maternity leave. But you did an MTech also, right, Ankita? I'm sure that if you present it and you get to the right recruiter at the right time, they will understand what you're talking about. The career break is no longer, I feel, such a big, what do you say, roadblock as it could have been many years ago. I feel it's a question of keeping on being, keeping on pursuing and making sure that you go back again and again and refine your answer. And don't be defensive about it. You don't have to be. It's not as if you took a career break because you wanted to laze and not do anything, right? When you took the career break, you were actually taking care of your family while you were studying. Own that. Be proud of it. Don't feel as if you have to shy away from it. And I think all of us feel that it's a big elephant in the room that we cannot talk about. But some of the smartest women I know including my CEO, is a lady who took a career break. So own the fact that you actually took the break because you wanted to give importance to your family, and own the fact that while you were doing that, you took care of your children, you took care of your home, and you actually completed an MTech. There's another question again, but I guess it's an anonymous attendee. I was on a break for 4 years. After my maternity leave, I didn't join because none was there to take care of my boy. After that, what you should include is what you did during the 4-year period. Like I said before, when you were taking care of your little boy, there would have been a lot of things that you realized in life. Taking care of a little boy and taking care of your house are not things that are easy to do. I think as women, we should acknowledge that and share the life skills you learned during that period. When you're at home, taking care of the house, taking care of a young boy, there are life skills you learn. Like I said, you learn time management, you learn people skills, you learn negotiation skills. So bring all of that up and own it. Don't shy away from it and be proud of it. Don't say, sorry, I took a break. No, you don't have to be sorry about it. It's something you should own. When the interview asks about details of deep technical level, I'm not able. Alpna, that is something I can't help about. You would have to go and make sure that you understand and you maybe refresh yourself with the latest technology, because can't recollect is not really a good answer. What you could perhaps say is that I do know the answer. Like I think one of the other questions there was, I freeze. So that's something you could say. I know the answer. I'm not able to bring it up now. Could I come back to you with a response later? And then make sure that you respond back. But again, it would be good to sort of, refresh yourself and make sure that you're able to answer. Kalpana, I have a break of 12 years. Before that, I worked as an HR recruiter. Now I'm learning VMware program. This is technical. If the recruiter asks why you shifted to technical road, so there must be a reason, right, Kalpana? Why you decided to look at a technical job after being an HR recruiter? State that. I'm sure that, you wouldn't have made that decision without having a reason, right? That reason is your genuine answer. That is what you should be stating. Why did you leave your government job in spite of leaves you have? Again, there would have been a plausible reason why you left, right? If you did have a job and you left it, and especially a government job, I'm sure there would have been a reason for you to leave. Nobody leaves their job without a reason. And that reason most of the time is very genuine. So, and I feel that we should own that reason. It's not, you don't need to apologize for the fact that you left it, perhaps to take care of your near and dear ones, or to bring up a child, or whatever it is. The fact that you prioritized your family more than your career at a point in time is frankly something I feel we all should consider with pride rather than find excuses for. Aarti. Sorry to him, but career break is, yes, it is a roadblock. I agree with you, Aarti. But the point is, a roadblock also is something you can overcome if you try. It is, the only answer I can give you over here is that you keep on trying until a door opens. Because if you keep knocking on doors, it is impossible that no door doesn't open. It has to open. Apurva Gaur, I was a developer but took career break for pursuing alternate career. Things did not work out. Now I wish to join back in data analytics. Since I don't have an experience in that field, how do I portray the situation and build confidence in the recruiter? So if you have joined a career with data analytics, if you've trained in it, you must have some certificate with you. There must be something you've done in data analytics, some credibility to show that did you use data analytics in your previous job? Why did you think data analytics is a good choice now? Why did you think you could do that, right? Because you were a developer before and now you want to become a data analyst. Did you like analysis? Are you somebody who can see patterns in data? Bring up all of that and think of an incident in your life during college, school, or during your previous career that aligns to data analytics and talk about that. I did B.Ed during that period because I thought of a school job, but now I want to be in IT. So it's not as if you did nothing. I would say that you should mention your B.Ed because it says that you were doing something, right? So you've done B.Tech, M.Tech, and so you were studying all the time. You should mention that. Karpagam. I have completed my level 1 and received a certificate on 30th August 22. When I thought about moving to level 2, I got this message. Sorry, the class you're attending is private. I think this is a question for you, Neha.
Oh.
A message from Karpagam Kartikeyan.
Okay.
I think the last in the lot. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. I've completed my level 1 and received a certificate on 30th August when I thought about it. Palani, I think you can just send us an email and I'll respond to your email on that. Yeah.
Are there any other questions, Neha?
I think no, we are done with this Q&A, and even in chat, sometimes recruiters upfront rejecting when we inform them that we are on a break. Do we need to voluntarily inform them in first point of contact? I think the answer should be yes, that we should inform them.
Yes,
If
I agree. Because it's a waste of your time also, right? If they're not interested in a person with a break unnecessarily, you'll go through the entire cycle. And yeah.
How to answer salary expectations to get good pay?
Do you want to take that, Neha?
I don't know. I mean, it again all depends. If you have a very good gap and then you're coming back with an expectation, I think, I mean, always the safer side is to say the market standards.
Yes.
Or if you know, or if you know exactly what you are expecting, then I think you just have to let them know.
Market rates would be the best to say, actually.
Right. Yeah. I think we are good to go. Any more questions? I think in the interest of time, we can just move ahead. And if any other questions you have, please send us an email. And if anything that has to be asked to Linda, I can just forward your questions to her. And yeah, I think thanks a lot, Linda, for such a informative session. I think it has helped them a lot. They will use this in their future to.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I hope they all go ahead and use this and get good jobs. Good luck, all of you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.